From the 1950s to the 70s, basketball was under the idea of building teams around dominant big men, as guys like George Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, and Kareem took over that era. Then in the 80s and 90s, perimeter superstars like Jordan, Bird, and Magic owned the league. Fast forward to this day, and the game is dominated by super athletic wing playmakers who play an almost positionless style of basketball. And there's actually a reason why no other true center has won the MVP award since Shaq in 2000. And it's because during the past 10 years or so, a philosophy of having big men who could both score under the rim while making plays on the perimeter as well has dominated the NBA. Well, we've seen glimpses of those kinds of players before, but it's only now that the league may have found the perfect guy who fits that description. Standing at 6'11", Nikola Jokic is a true NBA center who transcends traditional structures for big men by having a skill set which fits today's perimeter-oriented game while having a body which is also suited for a full 40 minutes of banging on the low post. The term unicorn has been thrown out there a lot these days, but the Serbian big man might actually be the best of that kind right now. For a guy his size and build, his scoring, passing, and rebounding abilities are quite mind-blowing. And so far, the guy's full skill set has been on full display. Jokic has already been an all-star level player the past couple of seasons, but he finally looks like an MVP caliber player right now. So far, the guy has been the centerpiece of a Denver Nuggets team which features the 5th best offense in the league. But what exactly is Jokic doing which makes him so special this season? How exactly is this big man doing all the things which aren't normally done by guys his size? And does he really have a strong case to win MVP this year? What's good, guys? It's Rero Balls here, and today we'll look into why Nikola Jokic deserves your full attention this season. But before we move on, it would be great if you guys could hit that like button right now because it helps me get my content out there to more people. It only takes a second of your time, but it definitely helps me a lot. So let's get to it. In an era where sports science is right in the middle of everything and players are expected to be in top physical condition all the time, I find it amusing how Nikola Jokic actually dominates basketball games despite him looking so slow and despite him lacking the bouncer burst of other NBA big men. And I'm quite sure that if you watch Nuggets games, it's also gonna be hard for you not to get glued to this guy when he's doing his thing on the floor. Well, it's safe to assume that this team wouldn't be as good as last season, especially after losing guys like Jerami Grant, Torrey Craig, and Mason Plumlee. But still, the Nuggets are looking quite good so far, and a huge part of it is because of how they're letting Jokic run the show right now. Coach Mike Malone has just figured out that the best way for them to win as many games as possible is by playing Jokic more, as currently, the guy's 29.8 usage rate ranks as the 18th highest in the entire league, and it's also a 3% increase from his usage rate last season. And this says a lot considering that Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond are the only centers with higher usage rates than him this season. But the thing is, Jokic isn't used out there the same way that other big men are utilized by their teams. What makes him so different is how he has been asked to become his team's main initiator in offense like no other big man can. Well, sure, Embiid and Drummond can set up their teammates to an extent, but obviously Jokic is quite on another level in terms of playmaking. Currently, Jokic ranks 4th in the league in assists as he's averaging 8.6 dimes per game, and unsurprisingly, he's able to create plays as much as he can because there's no other player in the NBA right now who touches the ball more than him this season. He leads the NBA in touches per game, and he also ranks first in total passes with 76.4 passes made, slightly ahead of Domantas Sabonis who's throwing 75.8 per game. Well, of course, the best passers in the game have a lot of things in common. These guys have exceptional court vision, high basketball IQ, and a refined skill for finding teammates. But I think what separates those great passers from the exceptional ones is that thing called fearlessness. And if you watch Jokic play, you'll see that he has that exactly in his game. The guy just isn't afraid to throw any kind of pass, and he just seems to have the ability to process everything that could happen on the court on another level. When help defenders surround him on the post, he can just drop the ball to a cutting teammate. If you double him on the baseline, he'll be able to throw a cross-court pass for a wide open 3. And of course, if you play him one-on-one, he also has a solid jumper which isn't easy to defend as well. Well, that's the thing about him. The guy is special because his height allows him to see everything that's happening on the floor. But even if you look into big men from recent years, you still won't find any other guy who passes the ball at the same rate that this guy does. Currently, Jokic owns 4 out of the top 5 seasons in NBA history in terms of assist percentage for a center. And if his numbers won't drop significantly, his current season will actually be the best passing year for any big man in NBA history. Actually, the last time any other big man came close to putting up this kind of assist rate was in 04 when Vlade Divac had a 28.7 assist percentage, but that's still far below what Jokic is putting up right now as he has a 39.9 assist rate so far this season. And currently, out of all active players this year, no other big man comes close to Jokic's production. The guy who comes closest to him who can be classified as a big man is actually Draymond Green, who has a 30.4 assist percentage, but obviously that number is still far behind. So yeah, we know that Jokic is already the best passing big man in NBA history so far, but what's even scarier is that the guy is also scoring at a highly efficient rate this season, as currently, Jokic is averaging a career high 26.1 points per game while posting a 64.9 true shooting percentage, which ranks 13th in the entire NBA. And he's shooting this efficient while having the 18th highest usage rate this season as well. And that's just crazy if you come to think of it, because basically, the guy is scoring in a very efficient manner despite having one of the heaviest workloads in the league. And I think a huge part of that is because he's just much more comfortable shooting the 3 ball, which is reflected by his 38% rate from deep, which is also a huge improvement from his 31% rate last season. We saw that when he put up a career high 50 points recently, which he did by shooting 60% from the field and 50% from 3 in that game. And so far, only KD, Kyrie Irving, and Joel Embiid have been able to match his efficiency at the same level of usage as his. And for real, what Jokic is doing is quite rare, because heading into the 2021 season, only 7 players in NBA history had used more than a quarter of their team's possessions while posting at least a 64% true shooting percentage. And 5 of those guys have won MVP during that same season when they posted those numbers. These guys were none other than LeBron in 2013, Steph Curry in 2016, and Giannis in 2019. And so far, Jokic and Embiid are on pace to join that group if they continue their kind of production this season. And that puts us on the discussion as to whether or not Nikola Jokic has a legitimate case to win the MVP award this season with all the crazy stats he's been putting up so far. Well, the guy is putting up MVP type numbers, no question. Jokic is currently averaging 26.1 points, 11.6 rebounds, and 8.6 assists per game. And in recent years, only post-KD Russell Westbrook has been able to put up such kinds of numbers as their team's best player. While from a team standpoint, it's quite easy to understand the case for Jokic, as he currently leads the Nuggets in almost all statistical categories, which includes points, rebounds, steals, field goals, defensive rebounding percentage, assist percentage, usage rate, win shares, and efficiency. The Nuggets have asked the guy to do more this season, and that could serve him well for a decent narrative to become MVP, to be honest. And I think his emergence as an MVP caliber player couldn't have come at a better time, considering that the team has missed 3 weeks of Michael Porter Jr., and considering that Jamal Murray hasn't exactly been the transcendent talent that he has been in the bubble, not to mention all the new pieces that Denver has had to integrate into their system. But so far, Jokic has responded quite well as the team's main man, and this has been true especially in close games this season, as currently, during clutch moments, which is defined by the NBA as the last 5 minutes of a game when the point differential is 5 points or less, Jokic actually ranks 5th in total points during those situations, only behind guys like Harden, KD, De'Aaron Fox, and Zach LaVine. And he also ranks 11th in total assists during those clutch minutes as well. And with all those things out there, could we really see Jokic bagging the MVP award? Well, to be honest, Joel Embiid could make a more compelling case as of the moment. The Sixers are currently the best team in the East, at least on the team standings, and Embiid is also seen throughout the league as a better two-way player than Jokic. But to be fair, Jokic has been actually playing great team defense so far. The guy currently ranks 11th overall in steals per game, as he's putting up a career high 1.7 steals per game, and he also ranks 13th in deflections in the entire NBA. But on the other hand, it would also be hard for Jokic to establish his MVP case when big-name superstars like LeBron and KD are well ahead of the pack, while also having more compelling narratives. But realistically, I think if Denver stays locked in while getting more wins, and if they eventually happen to crack into the top 3 in the West, it's definitely not hard to imagine Jokic being talked about. Well, this type of production alone should put him at least in the MVP discussion right now. But obviously, for that to happen, the Nuggets have to win more games, and I think the best way to do that is to utilize his abilities just a little bit more. Because when you have the best passing big man in the game right now, it's logical that you should surround him with great shooters to further boost your team's offense. While the Nuggets have the 5th best offense in the NBA, and they're also the 6th best 3-point shooting team. But it's quite noticeable that Jamal Jamal Murray isn't necessarily the most consistent 3-point shooter as of the moment, and that Gary Harris is only shooting 33% from 3 so far. Well, Michael Porter Jr. is probably the only guy for Denver who shoots particularly well so far from deep at 43% while also having a huge volume of shots. But I think if their shooters increase their volume and percentage just a little bit more, then Denver would be on a whole nother level as a team, which would just help strengthen the MVP case for Jokic. Well, so far, the guy's just getting better and better as a player each season, and that's scary for the rest of the league considering that he's just 25 years old. And he's doing it on both ends of the floor as well. He's significantly improved his defense, and on offense, he's far more assertive and aggressive while allowing his skills to be on full display. Well, the numbers don't lie. It looks like the Nuggets have already unlocked the Nikola Jokic formula, but right now, it's time for the rest of the NBA to do that. Thank you for sticking until the end of the video, and as always, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and also please do subscribe if you're new to the channel. Again, this is Rero Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.